Well, hello everyone. This is Ron, and I'm back with you for another episode of Empire Coins and Collectibles. I hope this episode finds everyone well and out there searching for the next great find. I've been doing that, and I've found some interesting coins which I'll share with you today. But before I do that, if you could, please like, share, and subscribe, and help us grow the channel. We're well on the way to our next goal of 450 subscribers. We're about 320 right now, but help us get to that 450 level, and we will have a drawing for all that have left comments and have subscribed. Okay, so what have I been doing actually? I've been going out to different coin shops and different gold and silver shops and a few pawn shops looking for coins. You know, I've already said that I do like to cherry pick. And what is cherry picking? Cherry picking is going through other people's coins, meaning sellers or even other collectors, and finding something you think has value, paying them what they want for the coin, and then bringing it home and inspecting it very closely. As you know, in the last episode, I said you interrogate the coin. You throw yourself into it, you look at it very closely, you look at it from different angles under different lights to determine if it is what you think it is. And oftentimes you'll find some very interesting errors or varieties. And of course, those rare errors and varieties are worth money. And of course, that's what it's about. Finding something that's worth more than you paid for and then adding it to your collection or flipping it. Flipping is something that you can do to earn some extra money, maybe set up a separate income stream that helps you, of course, pay the bills or grow your own collection, which is what I do. I will buy coins, find the best, keep those and add those to my collection, and then sell the rest and turn that money back over into acquiring more coins. That is a strategy. I don't know if it works for you, but it has worked for me. An interesting question came up in the comments. One of the questions was, how long have I been doing this? Actually, I've been collecting coins since I was a child. I think in an earlier episode, I might have said that I was more of a hunter-gatherer. But today, I'm a little bit more refined. I categorize and classify my collection. I have spreadsheets. And so I'm a little more methodical about what I have. Now, are there coins that should be documented and put into the collection that I have? Of course, I'm behind in that regard. But that's okay. It gives me something to do that's highly interesting to me in my spare time. So what is it I have to show you today? I have two coins that I pulled out of opening mint packages. These were from the 70s and 80s. This particular couple of coins are from 1979. Now, I'm going to show them one at a time, and then I would like for you to tell me what you see initially, and then we'll go ahead and interrogate the coin together under the coin microscope. The first one, of course, is a Susan B. Anthony, and I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, I can pull that up. So what I've done is pulled up on the screen a view of the Susan B. Anthony, the 1979, and more specifically, the D. Isn't it a gorgeous coin? I tell you what I like the most about it. I like the reverse. Does that reverse look familiar? It's something very similar to what was on the bicentennial coins from 75, 76 in that time frame, and also on the reverse of the Eisenhower dollar. But look at this. Isn't it gorgeous? We can magnify it, and you can just see all the fine detail in it. And over here, we can magnify the Susan B. Anthony. By the way, this is off the PCGS price guide. And you can pull up any coin that you might have in your collection and see what it looks like and perhaps what particular certifications are evaluated at. But I want to show you, this is a D mint mark, Susan B. Anthony. And that's exactly what we're going to be showing. So I'm going to stop the share and we're going to go back and change the camera view. What we're going to do now is go to the coin microscope. All right. So you should be seeing the Susan B. Anthony, the D mint that I pulled out of the mint package. Now, most people would think that when you pull a coin out of the mint package, it's going to be pristine and without flaw. Of course, you can see that is an error. We have all sorts of dings and little marks on the coin. You can see down here near the 79 and along the edges here, even a little few scratches. These coins get handled and they're just pulled out of the minting stream. They're not specially minted in any way, not a special pressing. They're just pulled out of the mintage and then put in packages and sold to the collectors. And the idea is they're going to stay in a better shape than those entering into circulation. So generally speaking, you're going to see marks on them. They're not going to be like the proof coins. The proof coins are highly specialized in how they're produced and struck multiple times to enhance the features of the images. But this has not. It's a mint Susan B. Anthony from 1979. Now let's just kind of tool around here. I want to look at the D, and I'm going to come in here and look at some of these marks over here. But realistically, I'm not seeing anything really of much interest. Do you? Look at the scratches here. But let's lower this jewel and see what else we can find. So we're going to lower it, and I'll have to bring it back in to focus. We'll get it a little bit larger, and that way perhaps we won't miss anything. Now, if you're looking over here, if you look at the D mint mark, that really isn't, you see a little shadow there. That's really not anything to speak of. It's probably a little bit of metal flow when the D was struck within the coin or onto the coin. But it's not the double die. The double die is something that you can really see a separation of the image clearly struck, and it's not a flat image. So we're going to pass on that. That's not very interesting. We can also see some little scratches down here. What you want to look is make sure that those scratches are not perhaps resulting from a clash die. Over here, we can see more of the dings and marks on it. Right there, I don't see anything very interesting, so let's go up here. There's nothing going on in God We Trust. Not much on the stars. There's some kind of a scratching right there. This is all through the handling, typically at the mint and then post mint, because mint sets are generally from that time put in cellophane packs, and they don't protect the coin all that well. They put them in an envelope, put cardboard in between the sleeves of the different mint sets, one from Philadelphia, one from Denver, but they don't protect the coins all that much. And we can see a little bit of ding right up in here. And then look at the scratches on Susan B. Anthony's face. Now, it would get an MS-60 because its mint state hasn't been out in circulation, but it's not going to get a very high certification. If you look up here now, up in this area, you can see some marks up in there. And then, you know, up in here along the Liberty, more of that scratches and just not a whole lot of interesting. But let's look a little closer in the hair. Up here, a few scuff marks. But this right here, I don't know if you can see it, I'm circling. That's kind of interesting. It seems like it's got a shape to it. So why don't we do this? Why don't we get a little lower and see what we can find? Now I'm going to have to adjust the light as we go lower because we'll want to make sure that we're not blinded by shadows. What are you seeing there? Now perhaps you can help me here. That kind of looks like a wire. It might be a struck through type of error, and it could be a gouge. I don't think it's a gouge because typically you'll see the cuffing up of the metal and then the mounds of where the metal went to after you cupped it up or gouged it. Here, it looks like there's some structure embedded in her forehead. Now, certainly it could still be some type of gouge, but it's usually those are more cuffs or scrapes. This is kind of got a curlicue to it. You see, kind of like a wire. That's what's amazing to me. And that's what's curious to me right in there. Let's go a little lower and see if we can see something more. I'm going to have to bring it back into focus. Well, now we're seeing a bit more detail. I'm not sure. What do you think? There's certainly something there. And it looks like metal has risen up. Maybe there's something else it could be. If it's not a struck through wire that's been retained, if it's not a scuffing, could it be a die crack? So let's go a little bit lower, but I want to show you something before we do that. We see that right there, and then we see something similar over here. Let's go a little lower. At some point, we won't be able to go too much lower because I'll get out of the range of the microscope. So what are you guys seeing? It's still not definitive to me. What do you think? I mean, we can look here, and then we can look over here. Do you think that's part of the design? Miss Empire said, well, maybe it's part of her hair. I don't think so. The hair generally is swept back, and it's uniform in how it looks to be combed in the image. This is kind of out of place. In any case, the only reason why I think it could be, but not certain, something embedded in the actual coin itself. Let's see if we can get a little closer. I've got to move my coffee because my coffee is in the way of the microscope. Sorry about that. Now we're losing the light a bit. Hopefully we can still see it. Now, as we get lower, you're beginning to think maybe it is metal flow up. And we're seeing something in there that's very close to looking like maybe the metal was pushed up through some type of physical damage here. But again, it's not definitive to me. Could it be a die crack? Perhaps still. But we're looking at both sides. Look over here from the right side coming in. Let's see if I can get that toothpick up there. Right in there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's look at the other feature. We're seeing something right up in here. And it doesn't look like scuffing or gouge. It looks like it's just something laying on top that's been struck onto the actual head or hair of Susan B. Anthony. I'm losing some power. Hang on just a minute while I reseat. Okay. So that's what I wanted to show you. The rest of the coin is not all that interesting, but this one certainly looks like it could be a retained wire, doubtful. It could be a die crack, maybe a gouge. It just doesn't look like that to me. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. If you could, put a note down below and look at it, the pictures very closely, stop the video, and then tell me what you think based on what you've seen on coins and the errors that you have collected. All right, we're going to raise this back up, and I'm going to place another coin in there, and we're going to look at both sides of the other coin. Let me just bring this relatively back into focus before we change the coins. So we're still big. Get a little bit higher because we're going to be looking at a Kennedy half now. So let me change the coins. Now, I don't think you're going to find anything real interesting on this side of the coin. I'm going to raise it up a bit. This was also out of the same mint set. And that's about as good as I can get it. We're almost at the top end of the focus. But as we come down, we'll get it in more focus, perhaps. There it is. That's much better. Certainly, they probably washed the coins, maybe. Or maybe, I don't know, this is a cellophane, a result of the cellophane reacting with the nickel. See that yellow haze, that film? That certainly is from the packaging. And what I see on coins coming out of the mint sets, that are packaged in cellophane from the 60s and 70s. A lot of them have this beautiful kind of sunset yellow toning to them. Others will have blue. And perhaps we're seeing some blue that was just emerging here. Okay. Just I'm going to arrange the lights a little bit better. There we go. Now, one thing that does strike me kind of interesting that we may go down and look at this a little closer is something right here with the ear. But the rest of it, that's a gouge or something that's come through there as a scratch. But nothing else really sticks out. So again, this is the uninteresting side, but we're going to go down a little lower and take a look at that ear. So bear with me and we'll bring it back into focus. Now, I don't know. It looks to me like that ear has been double struck right in there. But again, it could be just how the metal flowed when the coin was struck. Because I'm not saying it's a double die or anything like that. You can see it pretty good on the screen right in there. Right? Now, one of the tells of whether or not it's a double die or not is if it has a termination at some point that's clearly separated and it has a shape to it, meaning that it's not flat. If it's all flat, one could say almost with most certainty that it's a machine doubling. Okay, that means that perhaps the coin shifted or rotated just a bit in the collar when it was struck a second time. All right, let's flip it over. Okay, now you can see that there's some toning up here. And it looks pretty clean. Of course, it came out of that mint set. But I'm going to point you to certain features to be looking at when we lower or increase the magnification. I want you to look at the lettering, and especially in America. I want you to look at some of the arrows in the clutch of the eagle, and then also in some of the leaf structures over here. Now, that's just kind of a hint, a heads up that there may be something that we want to look at a little closer. So I'm going to see if I can increase the lighting, make it a little better. And now we're going to go down. So we're going to start perhaps with the olive branch leaves. We'll get it down a little lower, and then we'll bring it into focus. Now, I'm kind of seeing something here, right in there, and we probably want to go a little lower on it, but there we are. I moved the light, and you can kind of see something there and there, right? Now, is that part of the design? I don't know, maybe. But when we look at other places, you'll say maybe not. Look at that right there. All right, let's come down and look over here. Now, notice up here at the arrowhead tips, you can kind of see some double structure there and there, and even just a little bit on this one right there. All kind of interesting. Let's perhaps go a little lower. Maybe we can get a better look at it. Look at that now. So you can clearly see there's some struck through material. I don't know, maybe it's grease or something right in there. But you can see where this image appears to be somewhat doubled. Just trying to focus it a little better. Let's go back and look at the olive branch. Yeah, you can see it clearly over here. Right in there and there. And even in the upper branches. Now, again, that may be part of the design. I am not sure. Look at the thigh of the eagle as it comes down right there. Also very, very interesting. Let's move on down and look at the lettering. So we're looking at $50, and I'm looking at the O, and there's something going on with the O right there. And look at the L. Something going on with the L. Now, it could be just the sharpness or the slope of the O and L, but I don't know. Let's rotate it a little bit. Now, see, you can see it clearly. You can see that there's structure coming out like a second O underneath this O, and that there's an L that's kind of to the right and up above the main L, which is in focus. And then you got the same sort of thing on this L. And then if we rotate it on around, we can see this a bit, but not so boldly on the A. And then look at the R. So there is something manifesting there. Would I say it's a double die? No, not yet, because I'm not seeing at the points. You should be able to see some clear separation. And also, here's a clue. Most of what we're seeing as doubling is laying flat. See that right there? Now I've hidden quite a bit of the light, but you see this right in here? It's laying flat. Although it's looking like it's sticking up a bit. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Look at that R. Wow. That R is kind of really showing out there. So is this something? Would it make the coin more valuable? Maybe. Let's see if there's anything else on the coin that would kind of suggest it's something more than machine doubling. Look at America. I don't know, guys and gals. You see up in here, there's not a clear separation that you normally see in a double die, but clearly there is some doubling there. Look at all that. This came right out of an old mint set that I opened not more than 30, 40 minutes ago. And I wanted to share it with you. I was very excited about it. See, my wife would say it doesn't take much to get me excited. And that's true when it comes to coins. All right, look right in here. So because they're laying flat, again, I'm ambivalent about it. I think it's machine doubling. I don't think it's a double die. But then again, maybe some of the experts can share with their thoughts. Maybe if we look at the S, we can determine that. But look at the F again, and look at the O. Now, what this may look like is that the coin shifted counterclockwise in the collar when it was struck a second time. And maybe that was chatter, not actually a strike, but a chatter. When the anvil, the coin is in the anvil, and then the hammer comes down and strikes it. That's what the hammer die. And it could have chattered as it struck the coin and created this secondary image in the lettering. So in the S, are we seeing any clear separation in the serifs? No, we're just seeing flatness. What about on the E's? We're just kind of seeing flatness. On the T's and the A's, it's actually in all the lettering. Some more pronounced than others. Look at the S. But you know what amazes me is why does it not show up as robustly, if at all, like in the stars and in some of the other motifs in the coin? So I guess I'll leave it to you. Do I have a winner? Notice it's almost non-existent here on the United. I don't see hardly anything there. So how can it not show up on United in any big way, but it does show up on States of America? It just seems to me that if the coin rotated a bit in that chatter, you would see it over here on United as well. Can anybody explain that to me? All right. I think I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to come back to the main camera and we'll do the wrap up. So this gets back to my point. When you're out buying, don't pass up the mint sets. Sometimes dealers will sell those mint sets for $4, $5, $6, or $7. And yeah, you may think, well, I'm paying a premium on that. You might be, but if you find a really good example of a coin that's pristine, doesn't have any scratches, it would rate very highly, then you're going to be more than able to pay for that mint set. The other thing is you might find a very rare variety, or you might find an error. And then, of course, depending on what you find, the sky is the limit. So I guess to kind of wrap it all up, we can simply say, if you're not out there looking, you're not going to be finding anything. But if you are looking and you're consistently, that's the real key. You're consistently searching and looking to try and improve your collection, you're going to find these rarities. It is a numbers game. And what do I mean by that? I simply mean that the more you look, the greater the opportunity you'll have in finding something worth money. And with that, my friends, I hope all of you have a wonderful day and take care, and I will see you in the next episode.